Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody out there. How are you? Hope you had a good weekend. If you're in SoCal, the weather was fantastic.
Yes.
It was super cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the old days, which is last summer. But anyways, just wanted to, we're wrapping up the book today.
Awesome.
And I'm super excited about it. I do hear a little bit of fuzz, guys.
Me too.
Like a pretty gnarly little fuzz going on. No big deal. But so I got really excited about the last couple chapters. I was, telling Jenny a little bit earlier as I was working on it. I literally had to stop last night. And I was just looking around, like soaking it all in because there was a couple things that like really punched me in the face. You know what I mean? So anyways, so I thought I'd just jump right in. You ready to roll?
Awesome. Can we tell Sheila Wyatt happy birthday this week?
Wyatt, happy birthday.
And then it's Sue Wade's birthday today.
I don't know if Sue Wade is
I
on.
don't know why this is. It's important to me. Birthdays are big. Happy birthday, everyone. I'm sorry if we didn't do it before.
May I say this? I remember we had a lady that was working down in our Marietta office, and it was her birthday, and no one else was there, and I was getting ready to leave, and it was like maybe 6:30 at night on like a Thursday or something, and I said, hey, I forgot to tell you. I think her name was Diane. She was from the South, and I said, hey, Diane, I just wanted to say happy birthday. I hope you had a great day, and blah, blah, blah. She started crying when we were standing there. And I was like, what in the world? Like, what's going on? And she said, did you know? She goes, at 6:30 on my birthday. It's my 65th birthday. And she said, you are the only person that wished me a happy birthday today. None of my family called. Like, no one called. And she was literally crying. And I'm like, oh, don't ever, ever underestimate the value of telling them happy birthday. And I hope you have a great day. I never forget it. But so anyways, it was all worth it. All right, so let's roll.
Okay.
So right now we're going to be talking about kind of the slice and dice task is where we're at. We've got 3 chapters to go. And we've talked about a lot of this stuff before, but I'm going to get us caught up.
Okay.
First, you know how people like to procrastinate, which is what this whole book is about, Stop Procrastinating. And a lot of times they procrastinate on the big things because it seems so large and formidable. And when they just first approach it, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming, the thought about doing it. So how can we overcome the thought of that huge idea? And I was kind of thinking about it, and the big things that you wanted to accomplish in your life, like the big goals that maybe you never did. Like I was talking to Mike Duffy, and he told me he wanted to be a screenwriter, and he's written like 6 screenplays. And talked to somebody else that wanted to do a book or wanted to do this or wanted to do that. And it's like, that's your true calling, but you never do it because you're so intimidated by the size of the project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough. But so how can we, if we really wanted to do something big, what kind of things can we do to at least get started? And this one was called the salami slice method.
Okay.
All right. So basically, you get the big project out there, and then you just start cutting it and laying it out in detail. So like, here's everything that needs to be done. Here's what it would look like for me to write a book, for example.
Right.
And then I'm going to write down every step that I need to do in order, right? So first thing I need to do is actually sit down and come up with what my book's going to be about. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
Or coming up with what my prospecting plan is going to look like, or how I'm going to go out and find clients and how I'm going to do that. And then write it down in chronological order of all the things that need to get done. And then just start slicing off those little pieces one at a time. First thing I need to do, I need to sit down and I need to write out a bunch of ideas of what I think I want this book to be about. Next, it may be, that's better with the sound, thank you. Next, it may be, now I need to figure out when I can start putting this in order. And then when I can start, so it just talks about taking those big projects and cutting them down into pieces. So again, I'm just getting us caught up.
All right.
And because psychologically, the small pieces are easier.
Yes.
Right? I mean, the little teeny thing of like, sit down for 20 minutes and write about what you think your book should look like. That's a big one. The feeling of completing one thing, too, leads to the next. And we're going to get into something in this book that I think is so exciting, and it's just momentum, and we're going to be talking about like momentum with your projects in your life that get me super excited because a lot of times once you get rolling on something, like when you start working out a lot, all of a sudden I see Jenny and I'm like, did you today? Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, did you today? Yes.
My arms are so tired.
Really?
I was blow drying my hair. It was really hard. I was thinking, men are so lucky. You don't have to blow dry your hair after you've worked out. You don't have to try to put your makeup on. You guys are lucky. I mean, we do get to sit peen, but...
Oh, well, you get to sit peen.
Sorry, that wasn't appropriate.
I know it. So the next thing you know, though, when you have all these little things and you're leading up to it, it's done, right? So you finally get there. So that's one of the first things just to get us caught up. The second one is being the type of person that develops a compulsion to closure, okay? And what I mean is, there's a deep subconscious need in us to finish projects. And, I'm going to make fun of, I won't even say his name, but one of our friends who we work very closely with, her man If you go to his house, he has like 10 projects going on. He's working on a go-kart. He's building this over here. He's building this over there. And he never really finishes anything. And his house just looks like, Sanford and Sons, because he's got so many things going on. And, but the funny part is like finishing those things but those people that just keep starting new projects and never really finish one?
Yes.
But the good part is finishing one of those leads to finishing the next one, but it's called a compulsion to closure, meaning you have this thing where you have to get this job done. You know how Margaret has her checklists and all that sort of stuff. So, and as you finish these steps along the way, and this is another thing that I'm realizing is more and more important, these endorphins are released in your brain. Just how when you go on social media in the morning, by the way, have you been trying not to go on social media in the morning?
Hugely. How about you guys? I've been really cutting down.
Really?
Big time, because especially in the morning, I'm like, why do I care? Like, I'll go in to see who sent a message just to see if it's someone for work or something, but not first thing in the morning. It's hard.
It's getting better, though?
How about you?
Well, I actually don't. I look down and see if there's any important tests, because text of anything else I don't even pay attention to. So, but anyway, so those endorphins are powerful, right? So as you finish these projects, so the bigger the task too that you finish, the more elated you feel. Yeah. So like if your job was, I'm going to redo my whole backyard, when you're done, that feels great, Or if I'm going to, make sure that I get out my Christmas or my holiday cards and my holiday gifts and all that stuff, once you're done, it feels great. So the bigger the frog, right, as they say, the more personal power and energy you experience as you get those things done. So again, it's still kind of catch up. And it just continues to create an energy as you start to finish things. Do you feel like that during the day when you're sitting at your desk?
Oh, for sure.
Finish this, finish this, finish this. I've seen it at the end of the day. Okay, well, I got everything done. It's 4 o'clock.
Next thing to go.
Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing it suggests is kind of Swiss cheesing your tasks, which is if you know there's something you need to do, like punch a hole in a little piece. And what it's saying is, just try to even give yourself 5 minutes of something. And that's what I really want to talk to people about prospecting. So for people that are out there looking for clients, even if they did 5 to 10 minutes, I'm not asking 30 minutes, not an hour, 5 to 10 minutes of just sending out those 10 hit 'em up tasks, making 2 phone calls to 2 different people just to check in on them to see clients and customers, see how they're doing. So that's what it is. It's like punching a little hole.
That's my favorite so far.
In those sorts of things is the Swiss cheese of, and there's so many things that we don't even spend 5 minutes on. You've given me a list of people I should call before we put one together. I haven't done it, but what if I just spent 5 minutes on that task today? What if these guys on this call spent 5 to 10 minutes actually calling their clients or texting their clients?
Yeah.
So punching a hole is just the Swiss cheese method.
I like that.
And for every 5 or 10 minutes that you give, it starts to build a little bit of momentum. But then we start getting into the bigger problem, which is you really can't ever complete anything in 5 to 10 minutes. So you can get started on it, and then you back off, and then you have to go back again and start over, and go back again and start over. Whereas if you can, and that's what we're going to talk about next, like if you can come at it at a different approach, maybe knocking it all out at once.
I just keep thinking of my taxes. I did my taxes this weekend, which, and I'll say now that I'm not an active realtor, it's so much easier. So you guys know it takes weeks when you're like busy or whatever. So I definitely did the Swiss cheese. So I didn't.
You got a piece of it though.
I had, and I'm turning it in today.
Right.
So my husband isn't pissed.
So here's what you did though. You did the salami method.
I did.
You have to do your taxes. You have to get all these things done, but you did a couple little pieces. Like, here's my expenses, or I'm not sure exactly what you did, but you did one little piece. So that's good. That's progress.
Here's this business. Here's this business. Here's this business.
See? Look at you.
I am a slicer.
Yes,
I'm a
you're
slicer
using the salami message.
And a puncher and a Swiss cheeser.
A puncher.
So you're said to punch a Swiss cheese.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Poke a hole, punch it, whatever. You can punch a cheese.
Oh.
Hey, go get us a piece, Adam. I'm just kidding. So writing that first page, designing that first landing page, creating your first text 2 codes. Like if you have a prospecting plan, like what little 5-minute things can you do? And if if you're a real estate agent, hopefully you have the video with the text 2 code writer on at least one sign. It's better than none. So when people text in to get the video, you capture their number and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So just one little 5-minute thing, you could create a text 2 code in 5 minutes. Just punching that little hole and really getting it going. So, and this is where now we kind of leave that idea of the slice and dice and talk about the importance of doing the big things. So chapter 19 is creating large chunks of time. And the most really important tasks that we do, they do require large chunks of unbroken time to complete. Like if I wanted to redo my garage, which is a disaster right now, right? Because I'm still, for some reason, not all moved in. But that's going to require a large chunk of time. So I'm dreading doing that.
I've seen your garage, and it is immaculate.
Well, for me, it's driving me crazy. But thank you. It's not that great. It's not that. I still have like a like holiday boxes on the ground. You know what I mean? That I'm looking at.
I still have holiday lights as well.
Holiday lights.
It was my job to put them away.
Okay, really?
No, he took them down.
Okay, all right, good.
And he said, okay, put them away. They're still there.
All right, so good. So, but those big chunks of time and are required for you to make significant contributions to your work and to your life. Those big chunks. And setting aside time for prospecting, for example, is a typical trait of successful salespeople. We know that, by the way, and I'm going to say this again to you guys in person. A set aside time for prospecting is typical of successful salespeople. If you want to be successful, you have to figure out a time in the week to send out those texts. And I'm so sorry to always beat on this, but I don't care because I'm right. You have to send your cards. You have to send your texts. You have to send your direct messages. You have to do all those things. And I don't care what kind of business you're in. I don't care if it's, Charlie, the guy that did all this work in here, reaching out to me once in a while and saying, hey man, if you have any projects coming up, let me know, is crucial for you to get any level of success, because we know people get into real estate and they get into sales and all that stuff, and they're just continually waiting for things to happen. Things aren't going to happen until you put the hooks in the water. And I keep coming back to this thing I can't shake, Jenny, which is you right now, the life that you're living and the number of recruits that you brought in, like 20 people in the last couple of months or whatever, you are enjoying the results of the work from 3 months ago.
True.
Right?
True.
So you are literally beating the crap out of future you right now by not prospecting.
Yeah.
By not sending those texts. Future you is going to not be any better off than where you are today if you're not doing those things. Does that make sense? Am I getting all harpy? I don't care.
No, it totally makes sense.
We're all here to be successful and make money and
to do
provide money for our
better.
family. And so you have to set aside time for prospecting. And it is a trait of every successful salesperson. And the second thing is, if you look at some of the really successful people that are like in the old Mike Ferry program and stuff, you know how they had their schedules dialed in? They're also eating that frog, because if you recall, prospecting is usually not at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
No.
Prospecting is like from 10 to 11
Yeah.
or 9 to 10. So if you get off this call and you say, hey, I'm going to reach out to 5 people a day, which is nothing, with a text, you're going to get the results, and future you is going to thank you.
Yeah.
So, and also many business executives, really successful ones, take the time to call their top end clients and ask them, hey, is there anything I could have done better? Is there any way I could have helped you a little bit more with this transaction? Any pieces that you can give me of constructive feedback? So what if you guys as agents called your clients and just said, hey, I'm always trying to get better. Is there anything that I could have done, Jenny, in the sale of your house that would have made you feel better? Because I want to be the best agent I can for you. So calling your customers in the past and asking them for that. And so, no, you did a great job. Well, would you mind doing a review? Right? Because people are going to look you up.
But how you worded that first, you're not asking for the review first.
No.
First, you're like, dude, I want to be better.
Well, and don't
Please
we?
tell me.
Yeah. Don't we? I mean, even on this call, right? Like people text
so
us,
tell
you're
us why
like,
we want to be better.
like John Forster. How in the world can we do better on this show? Is there anything, and you're going to be like, yeah, you can have Jenny talk more and Chuck less. I mean, who knows what it is? But
the opposite.
but oh, look at Tom. Oh, great. But the whole point being that, like, we should probably be doing the same thing. You don't want to get too many people's opinions, though, because you don't want to change what you're doing.
Well, and it'll ruin your brain.
Right. So, but that time blocking portion of those big chunks, and even think about this. So Warren Buffett, I think he said he reads like 6 books a month. Bill Gates reads 3 a week. These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world, but they're taking their time and time blocking and realizing that reading these books is the most important thing for me to do right now, and they're doing it. So that says something, right? But so scheduling blocks of time, working in specific time segments, and it requires you also to plan your day in advance. When you just show up at work, like right now, none of you guys are going to spend time prospecting. Because you don't have it. You might like, oh yeah, okay, that's a great idea. But it's not in, somewhere written down that I'm going to be doing this today. What, you got something on your mind?
Well, they can also rewrite it, what they had their plan for today, and find the time. But I was just thinking of our little Tara. I'm looking to see if she's here. So for some of us, myself included, yes, like we have our time blocks and we have our schedule. But for some of us, it causes us great anxiety, the fear. And so Tara texts me, and it causes her great anxiety, and she was finding herself less, productive. You have to find your balance and what works for you. But I really suggest trying, at least putting in what you have to do today, and that way at least it's in your face.
Right. No, I agree. So requiring that in advance. And you know what? Maybe we should hold each other accountable to do that a little bit more.
What are you talking about? What are you trying to say?
I'm talking about requiring us to plan our day in advance. Like what hard
that makes
things
me
are we
wanna
going to do?
vomit.
Why?
Because what if I don't want to do that today?
Well, too bad. You wrote it down and you're going to do it. You know what? But it's like going to the gym. You know, like those times when you don't want to go to the gym and you do go to the gym and you walk out and you're like, you did not want to go, but you walk out and now you're so happy that you walked out. Tom didn't want to go for a walk or run, you know, to train for his thing, but he goes and he does it and he gets back, and how happy is he? You know, because so we have to like force ourselves to do it, because when we're done, we'll be happy.
Yeah, we need accountability buddies.
Right?
We
I
do.
mean, so just a thought, you know. And it goes back to the Pomodoro technique, you know, which is time blocking and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But to really time block and be successful in prospecting, in client follow-up, in asking for reviews, in asking how I can be better, comes down to, again, like we always talk about, that lack of distraction. Not having your phones, not having your kids. And I keep thinking about, so I don't remember who it was, whether it was Sarah on the call or who it was that was talking about how they have to, because the kids are home because of COVID, they actually lock themselves in their master closet. They lock their master door, and then they lock their master closet so that the kids can't get to them while they're taking those business calls.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
It's a form of, you know, time blocking undisturbed so that they can take those phone calls, make those calls, do the things you have to do. Well, we have to do the same thing in our prospecting lives and stuff too.
That's true. You're right.
So, you know, but have you ever had to lock yourself in a bathroom or closet to take client calls?
Yeah, when the kids were home, yes, because they're so annoying and loud. But I can't. Hey, shout out to all y'all. I did not have to do this.
Right? No, I feel you. I feel you. So, anyway, so that's you know, just kind of a little bit more on that time blocking, and I thought this was interesting. So, you know how we build the company's annual calendar,
yes.
right? We build the whole calendar. Just so you guys know, we have all the sales meetings. We have what days we're having Monday motivations. We have when the Fired Up Fridays are. We have when the mid-year is going to be, which we're going to be doing live, by the way, guys. And our sales meetings next week are going to start being live again in person in the offices. So lots of super cool stuff going on. But the thing is you know, we build these calendars, and the question is, what do you build your calendar around? That's the question I have for you. So for me, just because I have to, the way my mind works is I plan my vacations a year in advance. So I know that, okay, so the mid-year is going to be on the 25th, so I'm going to leave the 26th for 4 days, and I'm going to go to Mexico. Yeah, right, Deanna? Live meetings? Good stuff. So, you know, but it's the same thing with successful people that are building their days around the time blocks. So the first thing they do is they know 10 to 11 is when I'm going to prospect. Everything else, I'm going to build around that. Whereas some people, I think, maybe build on the easy stuff first and then try to fit other things in. Yeah. You know. So, but it's funny because the successful people that build their lives around their time blocks are, they say, 5 times more productive than the average person, which I believe.
Yeah, say that again.
So the people that build their calendars around their time blocking, their prospecting time blocking, are 5 times more successful than people that don't plan and don't work around their time blocking. Yeah. You know, and I always think about those old Mike Ferry agents that used to sit in there and cold call for hours straight. But you know what? Every one of them made between $200,000 and $500,000. You know what I mean?
Making cold calls.
Yeah, just making cold calls, door knocking, you know, and they scheduled in and did it.
Now, do you think that should your prospecting time blocking be when you're at your best, like, you know, when you're on, or do you need to be thinking about what they're doing? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I always thought that like 10 to 11 is a terrible time because people are at work. Yet all the best people do it. So it's almost
There's
like
a reason.
You know what it sounds like, Jenny? And I love you, and please don't take this wrong. It almost sounds like something that someone would say as an excuse. Well, I can't call, and not you, but I'm saying I can't call during the morning because they're probably at work. I'm not going to call them.
No, exactly. But that's when you feel good. That's what I think. It's when my energy is the best. That's when I should be reaching out.
Well, yeah, because think about this. If you were to call them in the evening at 6, I don't know about you.
I'm not answering.
Most people's asses are kicked by 6.
Yes.
You know, and they're having dinner, and they're doing this, they're doing that, you know, but
that's so true.
So that's
I think
why
after 3
in the morning, at least people, you know, but sending an early text is easy. You know, and texts are so easy to be remembered.
And just let people know you care, you're thinking of them. I love it.
I mean, for sure. But I do have to say, I was talking to Vicky, and I last weekend, not this weekend, but last weekend. You remember this, Vicky? I sent her a text, and I said, hey, Vicky, I said, you just jumped in my mind. I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. I hope you have a great day. This is on Saturday morning. And no response. No response. And I'm like, freaking Vicky,
man. Well, she's had a week, I know.
Well, you know, I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe she's got stuff going on or whatever. And so then I talked to her on Monday, and I said, hey, thanks for the response on the text I sent you. And she goes, oh, I thought it was an auto text sent from thing, and you sent it out to the entire company. And I was like, no, it was real. I sent it to you specifically.
I didn't know that was what it said.
I did, and I'm like, it was
I
all
wasn't feeling good either, and I thought, oh, how rude.
It was all heartfelt.
Sorry, Chuck.
It was all heartfelt and wonderful. And she's like, I knew it was an auto text to everybody in the company. I'm like, no, that was to you. So you got to be careful that no one ever knows you're doing an auto text.
Funny.
I know. I'm all butthurt about it. You know what I mean? I think I sent one to Sonia and she said the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I forget you guys. I'm not going to send these anymore. But whatever. Okay, back to where we were. Sorry, I got distracted. Vicky thought Jen Ulmer sent it. That's a good one, Tom. So anyways, one of the next things we talked about this first thing this morning is using a time planner.
Yes.
And like I told you last week, the most effective I've ever been is when I was really living by my calendar on my phone. And I got away from that, unfortunately. But you know, it is what it is. And do you plan out your day in your calendar? Because I always see you writing in it.
Yes.
How do you work your calendar? Just out of curiosity.
Well, mine is kind of different also. Well, I think it's very much like the realtors, is we don't know day to day what the appointment's going to be. Because people call me and say, oh, can I come in and talk to you today? And absolutely type of thing. So that's where mine.
Right. Well, you know, and as real estate agents and as most salespeople out there, I always tell people when they used to ask me, because you know how women love firemen? When people used to ask me what I do for a living, I would always tell them I was a fireman. Because basically, as a real estate agent, we are firemen. You can't follow your schedule. Next thing you know, you got your calendar and like all hell breaks loose and you got to ditch that calendar. Right, Tom? I mean, you can be having a wonderful day, drinking your coffee, you know, checking in some files in SkySlope or whatever. And next thing you know, shit hits the fan and your whole calendar is blown up.
Blown up.
You know, because all of a sudden the buyer got cold feet and you got to tell the seller who packed half their shit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
The buyer bought a car.
Yeah, exactly. Or at the last minute, you know, the deal didn't close because there was a typo from title and the moving van's pulling up in the parking lot here. You know what I mean? So, and you're like, goody. You know, well, can we get a hold harmless? And the seller's agent's like, nope, you're not moving in here till it's closed. You know, it's like, so all hell can break loose. All right, I get that. But the use of a time planner is still, we can try to make it work with that planner.
Yes, so at least when that's calmed down, you're like, okay, let's get back to that.
Right. So, and you know, always, you know, you want to see where you can block out that time, you know, and do your best. And again, and this is the one, and we're getting to the points that I told you really rocked me last night. But again, you know, eliminating all distractions is key. We talked about that when you're time blocking. And, you know, I didn't like this suggestion because my goal is to get everybody back in the office right now, Tom. It's time, right? I mean, my son went to Vegas this weekend. Half the people didn't have their masks. It was packed. Everything was sold out. It's crazy. Like, life is returning to normal. However, when you really do need to do some tasks, sometimes it's not even good to be in the office for certain tasks. And I don't like to say that because I'm an office guy. I like to be here. And I'm not effective at home. You know, at home I'm a disaster.
Me too.
I'll walk around and find anything possible to do other than sitting at my computer downstairs. So that being the case, you know, you have to, you know, if you have to find a place that's free of distractions, maybe it is home right now with kids and all that sort of stuff. I know it's hard, but you got to find that. And thank you. And make every minute count. You know, airplane.
You could come on camera.
Oh, you're so great. Thank you. So, coffee.
I'll take one of those too, Jennifer.
Hey, this is my first coffee.
Can you
in
add the
6
phone,
days.
please?
Oh my God. So this is a good one.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite things. This is one of my, really rocked me here.
Okay.
Make every minute count. Okay, is what it said. Now here's the thing. I love to go on.
What's going on?
Who's that?
Keep going.
No, I want to know who that was because
John
that was a very aggressive yell. John T. I enjoy traveling because, and it says this, that it can be the most effective use of your time possible. That you can get more done on an airplane than almost anywhere else. If you're by yourself flying, then you can be so effective. Like most of the books I've read have been on airplanes. The books I've written have been on airplanes. And I was thinking, well, we're real estate agents, or, you know, with COVID and stuff, that doesn't really apply. But the secret behind that is, and I love what he called this. He said, look for gifts of time. Look for gifts of time. You know those little windows that you don't realize you get to be by yourself?
Yes.
That you weren't expecting it? Whether it's driving to Vegas to go pick up your mom, you know, Vicky driving out to see Renee, you know, whatever it means. So you have to look for those gifts of time when you can be extremely effective and optimize that time. And that was one of the things that really got me, because they really are gifts of time, especially when you have little kids. I mean, I remember dropping my kids off at daycare and literally like skipping, it's a beautiful morning, the minute they're gone out of my car, just for that little 10-minute ride over to the office by myself, thrilled. You guys know what I'm talking about? I see Catherine does. So but that's a gift of time. So what can I do in that gift of time? So I liked that. To me, that kind of resonated with me. The next thing is, it's a little quote. This is there's only 2 chapters ago, but the next one is developing a sense of urgency. And you know how in sales, whether you are a real estate agent or you're a car salesman or whatever you happen to be, we have to develop a sense of urgency that it is time to list, that it is time to buy, that it is time to get these things done. This property will not be here tomorrow. And generally, it's probably true right now.
Yeah, it is true.
So we have to be professionals in developing a sense of urgency for other people in sales, but also we need to do that for ourselves. So there was a quote in here from Napoleon Hill, and I loved it. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command at that moment. And better tools will be found as you go along. So just getting started is where we always come back to, right? Planning to plan, to plan, to planning, to plan, to plan. And I love this, and I live by it now. Perfection is the enemy of progress. I know I keep saying that. But thinking you need to get this done before you do it, it's just jump in. We jumped in with this show. Jenny and I don't know what the hell we're doing. You guys are watching it. We're doing something right. We barely know what we're talking about.
Don't tell people that, Chuck.
Oh, was I supposed to keep that to myself?
Yeah.
One day I'm like, Jenny, I'm bored. What do you want to do? And she's like, I don't know. Let's start a show.
Let's start a show. Let's talk. Coffee talk.
Coffee talk. So anyways, so now it got to the stuff that got me pumped.
Okay.
I'm getting excited right now about
Okay,
this.
good.
Okay, so perhaps the most outwardly identifiable quality of high-performing men and women, something you can just recognize, is action orientation, right?
Okay.
They were in a hurry to get their key tasks completed, right? So do you understand?
Yes, I think
this
yes.
is, and people, everybody out there, do not be a talker. Don't talk, walk. Do it. And that's what I mean by being action oriented. Is I take a lot of crap for this because I'm not the kind of guy that sits back. We got a lot of crap. It took us 45 days to build this studio, but there are people that it would have taken 6 months. But we were in here every day, just because I like to consider us get it kind of done people. So highly productive people, they take the time to think, and then they plan, and then they set priorities, but then they launch steadily. They go get it, and it's quick, and it's strong, and it's continuous, moving towards those goals and objectives. They go fast. And that's what I mean by action-oriented. And as a result, they can power through enormous amounts of work in the same time that the average person spends socializing, wasting time, and working on low-value activities. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're kind of moving on to. Yeah, because I see you writing something down. Go for it.
Oh, when we want to, going back to prospecting, but that's really, it's for all of us, no matter what business you're in. If you're in construction, sales, whatever. It doesn't have to be a perfect text.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a perfect phone call. It doesn't have to be a perfect letter. I get so wrapped up in I'm horrible at writing. No, it doesn't matter.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you that. And some of you guys that are on this call are guilty of this. And I think, Tom, you can back me on this. So St. Patrick's Day text. I always tell everybody, send out a St. Patrick's Day text to your top 100 clients. And it could say something like this. Hey, Jenny, this is Chuck. Just wanted to let you know I mailed you a lotto ticket. So if you hit the lotto and you're going to buy a house, don't forget who bought you the ticket.
Yeah.
Right? And then, Chuck, send. I get so many agents when I even talk about that or throw it up on the screen, snapping pictures of the phone or calling me and saying, what exactly was I supposed to say? And it's because they're so afraid of
looking like a fool,
not having the perfect text written that they won't send it.
Stupid.
How many of you guys out there, and I know some of you on this call are guilty, are not making videos because they're not perfect? How many times are you shooting a video 20, 30, 40 times? And never actually, Elizabeth, right? Raising your hand. Instead of actually just putting it out there. Hey, I'm Chuck. I look like a dipshit, but I can sell your house.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Just
you know what I
do
mean?
it.
So it's something.
Elizabeth like that.
Jessica
too.
Wells is saying the same thing. You know what I mean? It's I just think it really comes down to, when it comes to videos, guys, when it comes to text, when it comes to phone calls, be effing authentic. Be you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you guys are you, then you're going to do just great. Everybody knows who you are. They know what you sound like.
Yeah.
And
they know what you look like. You always say that, Jenny. We know what you look like. What are you doing?
We've heard your voice. Okay, we know what it sounds like. And I was thinking about that. How funny would it be to make a commitment that you're going to put out whatever video you shot the first time? Whatever video you shot the first time, that's what I'm putting out.
Actually, Judith did that. I don't know if she's on. She may be nursing today. She's one of our agents. She got first selfie. She goes, you just have to put your first selfie out on. You take it and you put it out, no matter if it looks like crap. And then she did a video. I'm like, oh my God, that's so good.
I love it.
We should do it.
Right?
You should do it. I'm not saying I should.
I mean,
do it.
we've even shot a couple in there, like when we're doing the prep
Yeah.
videos for this stuff. And we're like, I don't like my hair. I'm not doing that. So we're both guilty of that.
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I got the double chin. You held it down. We're supposed to hold it up, Adam. You know, like whatever. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track.
Sorry, guys.
All right, so the next thing is here's how you can tell that Anthony Robbins ripped off everything from Brian Tracy.
I love that.
He did, by the way. He used to work for him. So your job, as you have done your time blocking and as you've done all these things, you know, and trying to get things done and be effective and action-oriented, your job is to get into the flow, right? And when you work on your most important tasks at a high and continuous level, you enter an amazing mental state called flow. And I can tell you that is real. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? When you're working on something, and whether it's a file, whether it's a book, whether it's, you know, on, anything at all. I mean, Thanksgiving dinner, whatever. And all of a sudden, you are just like in this state where you are super dialed in, and you're killing it, and everything is happening for you. And it's like we have to learn to get ourselves into that state more often.
I like
and, you know, I know when I'm getting ready for a presentation, like usually like my material sucks, it's crap, it's this, it's that, blah, 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 blah. And then as you start getting into it though, and as the distractions start to fade away, you really start to get into it and you're like, okay, the flow, the this, the that, this is good, this is better than I thought, you know? So it's, and the reason that I know it's stolen, Tom, is because he says you got to get yourself into a flow state. How many times have you heard Anthony Robbins say, you got to get into state, ready, get into state, you know? And I'm like, you ripped that off, you plagiarist. I guess we do the same thing.
Yeah, every day.
But whatever. I miss my wife. 0 hours, 9 a.m. Who was that?
Mike Duffy.
Way to go, Duffy. All right.
It was his birthday too. It's Elton John's birthday this weekend too.
It was Mike Duffy's?
No, John's.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hey, I liked it, Mike. You just made my day, man. It's all good. So almost everyone has experienced this at some time. All right. So really successful people get themselves into that state more often than the average person.
Okay.
And I have seen you. When you sit at your desk, I know when you're mentally dicking off and dicking around and lost. And I know when you're on fire. I can see it in your face, you know. Because like when she's like, what's going on? What are you guys talking about? Like that's one Jenny. And the other Jenny is the one that's just a machine, like that you're working and you're making calls and you're doing this and that. You know, there's two Jennies. There's the in flow and there's the what's going on? What are you guys up to?
Yeah.
You know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that.
Back
so,
at you, by the way.
what? Oh yeah, I know. Oh, for sure, especially lately. So really successful people get in more often than others.
Get into the flow.
Right. And the highest human state of performance and productivity, when you're in that state, you can make miraculous things happen.
Yeah.
That's when you are truly in, you know, the best place you can be to be the most effective person that you can be.
I love that.
So I thought that was pretty cool. So it's just when everything that you do seems effortless and accurate, you know, and then you start to feel happy and energized and you experience kind of this tremendous state of calm and effectiveness. It could be writing Christmas cards. It really could be Thanksgiving dinner. It could be cleaning your garage. It could be something to where you're just on fire and in that state. And we just have to learn to get ourselves there for business, you know, and for prospecting and in ways that can help develop our lives more, reading, you know, whatever it may be. So anyways, just a thought.
No, I like that. Get in the flow.
So the most sensitive and aware, you know, have like insight. There's like kind of like insight and intuition guide you and rescue you to say exactly the right things at the right time too when you're in that state. You know, when you are on, you know when you're on. Okay, you do interviews. Sometimes you'll walk out and I know you're like, I was on today. And like sometimes you'll walk out, you know, from a listing appointment, you goes, I was a disaster today. You know, you just know when you were there to kill it or not kill it, you know, and it's just getting yourself.
You're like, why did I say that about the bathroom?
Exactly.
I'm so stupid.
Right? Right. Why did I? Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you have a brick fireplace? Oh. You know. Well, I guess that was cool in the 80s, you know. So, so you often come up with, you know, brilliant ideas and insights that enable you to kind of move forward more rapidly.
Yeah.
So, but I want to go back to what I was saying before. And that really, that get shit done kind of person really is who we want to be.
Yeah.
We really do. And you know, and I just can't stand the talkers. I don't even want to be friends with them.
No,
because
it's
they
annoying.
make promises, they say they're going to do this, they say they're going to do that, and they never do it, and then you see them again, and they say they're going to do this, and they say they're going to do that, and they never do it. And it just, and I guess I shouldn't judge people on that because maybe, you know, it's their own fears that don't allow them to do it, but aren't you excited by being around action-oriented people?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
when you saw this come together, isn't that exciting?
Very exciting.
You know, when you build a house from start to scratch, when you, you know, dig up a client, find them a home, get them a house sold, you know, close the house, hand them the keys, and bring them have, you know, some cool gift sent to their work to let them know, right? That, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's like those sorts of things are so rewarding. And as you become that get shit done kind of person, then it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, we got to get this done. Let's get that done. And so it's just kind of triggering that high performance in yourself. So, and like I said, it goes back to creating that sense of urgency and knowing that you are that get quick, you know, get things done quick type of person. And I like what you said. I mean, and what we talked about, like you don't have to be perfect. You know, the text does not have to be perfect.
No.
The call, what you say. I mean, you should be prepared before you make those calls.
Yeah. Be a little, at least remember who you're talking to. You know.
Yeah, I mean, so your impatience motivates you to get going and feel like you're racing against yourself, you know. And for those of you guys that know me out there, I can be extremely impatient. I mean, and like I will stand over the you know, Adam's back and watch him do stuff for hours, and I'll do the same to Jen. And you know, like, and some people say things take time, things need to be patient. But when you make a decision, let's just go. Let's go get it. You made a decision?
So.
And I'm speaking specifically to somebody out there. I mean, who knows what I'm talking about? But so you just create a bias for action instead of talking about what you're going to do. And did you ever play basketball?
Like on a team?
Yeah. Did you ever play any basketball when you were a kid or anything like that?
Have you seen my height?
All right, fine.
No, I did not. I played softball.
All right, well.
But no, I did not play basketball.
Okay, so softball, but so Tom, you know, I don't know if any of you on this call have ever played basketball, but if you've ever played basketball, like when I played in high school, there was something that we would call the zone.
Okay.
And you know when a player gets into the zone because you know, and even the coaches know when a player gets into the zone. You know what I'm talking about, right, Tom? I don't care if it's LeBron James at a certain time or it could be some dude off the bench that all of a sudden you feed that guy the ball. You feed that guy the ball because that guy is going to sink it and sink it and sink it and throw layups. And, you know, I mean, and sometimes it's the most unsuspecting kid you've ever dreamed of that's not even that good of a player, but he got himself into that zone.
Yep. I know exactly what you're
And,
talking
you know,
about.
so that's where we want to be. We want to be in the zone with our business. We want to be in the zone with our recruiting. We want to be in the zone with our prospecting. We want to be in the zone with our family. You know, so just getting into the zone is so exciting because, like, I remember that back in high school. It's like all of a sudden you're just there and you're just like sink, and you just keep feeding that person the ball. So it's pretty fun. But and that ties into the next thing with you know the basketball zone is building up that sense of momentum. And I think for our top producing agents and top producing salespeople and top producing companies that are out there, they have a momentum that's going. They've started and it gets going. And once it gets going, it's almost like unstoppable. So for your business, the top producers, you know, I mean, I'll use Jennifer Murphy, for example, you know, when Jennifer is rolling, she's rolling. You know, like Steve Games said, you know, grapes don't come in one deal. You know, the real estate sales is like a grape, but it's not. It's a bundle of grapes. They all come at the same time. So once you start selling, once you get into that zone, once you start getting that, it just starts to pile on. So for the newer agents out there, it's hard right now because you're trying to get that first grape. But once you get that first grape, they come and it happens.
Yes, they do.
It happens.
They do.
And it happens. So as you move forward, you activate what's called the momentum principle of success. And the momentum principle of success is where it starts to build on each other and build on each other and build on each other to where you know you are in the zone. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I mean, I would say even with this show, like we're getting better and better and better, and we know what we're doing now. And before these shows start, you're either in the zone or not. You know, some people come and go, "God, you're really depressed today." I'm like, "Geez." You know, it's because maybe we weren't in the zone that day, but whatever.
I know.
I'm not going to talk about her. So anyways, the hard part of getting things going, guys, is the initial inertia. You know what I mean? That initial moment of getting rolling into your business, or the initial moment of getting into your prospecting, or the initial moment of getting past having 2 deals and having 5 deals.
Yeah.
Because the beginning is the hardest.
It is.
Even when we started the show, you know what I mean? It was hard. Like the first day, we're like, what are we going to talk about? And we were bumbling around and all that sort of stuff. And now we kind of know, you know where you like to sit. You got your laptop. You're watching people on the call. You know, I know what kind of material I want to talk. You just start to get better and better and better. So once it gets going, it just becomes much easier. You know, and that's the momentum principle of success. The good news is, the faster you move, the more energy you have. You know what I mean? So as you start making these decisions, have you ever like done anything where, I don't care, like if it's a puzzle or you're wrapping Christmas presents, or you're doing anything, and the next thing you know, you get into that zone and you look down at your watch and it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you're still jamming, 4 a.m. in the morning, and you're still jamming.
Yeah.
And you're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
It's because you're in that zone.
Yeah.
You know? And the more
it's so great to
experience
be in
you
that
get,
zone about anything.
right?
Let's
Anything.
go get in the zone somewhere
I know.
about
What do we want to get in the
something.
zone about?
That's why I was just trying to think.
Well, you know what? Are you ever, in a spin class or in any of your things, and you know what? You're 30 minutes in and you're feeling it.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
the zone.
Yeah.
So the more experience you get, and the more you learn, and you just become more competent and capable as you get into those zones, because you're starting to become an expert in that too. So any comments on anything? I feel like I'm talking a lot today.
I know. Tell
Sonya's
us your
out of town.
thoughts.
If anybody has anything they want to add, please do so. Tommy, you got anything you want to add? You're free to do so if you want to.
Nope.
You know what? That's probably the best thing he's ever said.
Well said, sir.
Yes, very well said. All right. So the urgency shift will kind of change your career, by saying, I got to get this done, and I've seen you panic about, we need to get more recruits or do this or do that, and some people like that with listings, like right now, listings are everything, right?
Yeah.
And the more you get done, the higher level your self-esteem, your self-respect, your personal pride, like when we were going through this sales meeting last month and you had like 12 or 13 people in there, how did that make you feel?
It was fabulous. So.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you're good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you're just beginning to take control of your life and your career by getting that momentum going,
And I was in the zone when I was getting them.
See?
Also,
Right.
I was prospecting, guys. I was writing letters. I was writing postcards. Making those calls.
That's everything.
And some of them take a long time.
That's true.
George Williams.
Is George on here?
I don't know.
Let's see. That's pretty
It was
funny.
just fun to say.
So you're just beginning to take control of your life. And then, it talked about if you want to become action-oriented and all that sort of stuff. I thought this was interesting. Again, you know how they do a lot of chanting and a lot of this motivational stuff?
Oh, yeah.
They want you to chant, do it now.
Oh.
Do it now. Do it now. I'm going to prospect. Do it now. And say it over and over and over. I'm going to go prospect right now. I'm going to go prospect right now. I'm going to go prospect right now. But I am guilty. I've done the same thing, right? Where you're like, oh, something shiny, let's go.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we're all guilty of it. There's nothing you can do about it. So if you feel yourself slowing down, though, or becoming, this is what we have to be wary of, is if you feel yourself slowing down or becoming distracted by conversations or low-value activities, you're supposed to be telling yourself, back to work. Back to work. Back to work. You know what I mean? Because it does happen.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's the most random person's walking down the hallway, and they just seem so interesting because I don't want to do what I want to do. Wow, look, it's Becca from Title. Hey, I haven't seen you. Give me a hug.
She's like, I saw you this morning.
Yeah, but you're just anything you could possibly do. I saw your workout stuff. You look like you're doing really good. And it's just we have to tell ourselves, back to work.
Back to work.
Back to work.
Yeah.
Back to work. So, and I was thinking about this, and this is the ultimate reputation that I want to have.
Okay.
Janie, tell me how cool this reputation would be to have. How awesome would it be to develop a reputation of, when we talk about Janie, oh, you know who Janie is? Janie is a get shit done kind of person. I think that's the ultimate compliment.
And actually that is what I think about Janie.
What kind of person is Janie? You know what? Janie is a get shit done kind of person. And when they say, if you want to get something done right, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
It's because busy people get shit done.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to be profane, and I'm not trying to be, but I'm just saying, that's how important it is, to be that kind of person that engages and goes and gets it, and not the one that talks. And if you are, in whatever field you're in, I don't care if you are in a biology teacher in college, a kindergarten teacher, somebody that works in the meat department at Stater Brothers, whatever it may be, being that get shit done kind of person, to me, is you will become one of the most respected people in your field. If you were to say, hey, who's the best butcher in here? Everybody knows who it is. It's him. You know what I mean? Or it's her. Who's the best, in the bakery department? It's her. You know who it is. It's the people that get it done.
Yeah.
And do a good job. And that's who we all want to be in our careers and in our lives. Last chapter.
Awesome.
You ready? Last chapter coming up.
I lost Zoom. Did anyone else lose Zoom? So I'm not going to be able to see y'all. So.
No, you can try. You go ahead. Go
Okay.
try to reboot.
Sorry.
So the last one, chapter 21.
Okay, because I really want to hear this.
Single handle every task is what it's called. And it says that every great achievement of humankind has required long periods of hard, concentrated work until the job is done. And I think about that, like when we look at the skyscrapers in downtown New York City, that was somebody's original idea.
That blows my mind. And bridges.
I'm excited because look, we put panels on the studio. All right. Yet For some people, they built, the
50
Sears Tower.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Trump Tower.
Yeah.
Or, the Wynn Hotel and
Yeah.
Casino. Caesar's Palace. So it's just, but it was somebody's idea, somebody's vision, and, long periods of hard, concentrated work until the job was done, and even building a track, your home, as you watched it get built that you bought, it's just exciting. So we just have to realize that we have to enjoy the process and know that eventually that thing is going to be done and you're going to be proud of it. Closing an escrow is great. It's not as cool as maybe building a house or something like that. I will tell you, like building a house is extremely rewarding. Like when I was doing specs and stuff, that was so fun. When you hand over those keys and that place is dialed in. That is like such a great feeling. You're like, I can't believe I took that from idea to completion. It feels really, really good.
And Chuck, some people got a boat unstuck from the Suez Canal today.
Oh, they got it done.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
No.
The boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal?
No.
No, people are clapping. That's right. Vicky worked in the Sears Tower. But isn't it, it's just an amazing testament to mankind. You know what I mean?
It is.
So selecting, and this is what it comes down to, selecting that most important task and concentrating it and focusing high levels of performance and personal productivity on it is everything. And here's where it gets really scary.
Okay.
It's really scary. So of course you have to eliminate the distractions to get that task done that you want to do without diversion and until the job is 100% complete. And then, back to work, all that. But starting and stopping a project is the mind killer.
Okay.
Because every time, like if you're going to prospect for 100 people, and you could do that in a day. You could prospect 100 people in a day, right? But by starting and stopping, and some of you guys you can't control. You got kids coming in and it's time for lunch or this or that or whatever, or you got to pick somebody up. But it says that it decreases your productivity by 500%. Because every time you have to go back and start over and motivate yourself to go back to the
and get back in the zone.
Motivate yourself to go back to the holiday cards. Motivate yourself to go back, and then now I got stuff on my desk. I got distracted by this. I got a phone call. So just starting and stopping that task is the hardest thing. So what it meant by the single handle is one thing at a time and do your best to not get distracted.
Okay.
Okay. Really, your best, and you just continue to have to get yourself going over and over again. But if you're prepared within that set aside, like we talked about, to sit there until the job is done, you develop that energy and enthusiasm and motivation. And it's funny because we're guilty of this too. You and I know we're doing important things at our desk. You guys know you're doing important things at your desk. And somebody may come in, and I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, you know what, I just need 30 minutes. I have to stay focused on this. We should be doing that more.
Yeah.
And we don't. Right?
Yeah.
So if we could just say, and I would understand that if I went over to you, Jenny, and I'm like, hey, you want to da-da-da, you want to walk over and get some lunch? You said, I'm sorry, Chuck, I just need 20 minutes to get this done.
You're right.
I would respect that.
Yeah, you're right.
And I
You're
think
right.
spouses would and significant others would and all that sort of stuff. So you just have to develop, kind of that set aside time and be willing to say, I'm going to sit here until this is done.
I think this is a generational thing. Because
you?
if you think about our grandparents, I think they were much more time blocking. Because don't you remember your parents or your grandparents saying, just a minute, I'll be, I'm almost done with this or whatever. And now we're just like, what do you want? What do you need?
But they also didn't have these.
That's,
You know what I mean? They didn't have those.
Yeah,
they didn't have iPads.
Yeah, exactly. So they could stay focused and look how far they went in those times.
TikTok is the devil, I can say that much.
Oh,
I can waste so
amen.
much time on that stupid app.
Yeah, I know.
And we appreciate you for it.
Yeah, I was thinking too, like, when we were younger, and I don't know, for you Gen Xers on the call, but like I remember, like when I was a kid, there was only a couple shows that I would watch because there wasn't a lot on TV.
No,
I would
like
watch
13 channels.
I would watch the A-Team. Okay, like on Fridays at 8, like that was a big deal, and I think like there was like one other show, but like and cartoons, for example, were on from 3 to 4:30,
Right.
and then they were over.
Except for Saturday morning.
Yeah, except for Saturday morning when you could watch, Tom Hatton and, Popeye and, all that sort of stuff, right? But like the whole point being that like now you have all these distractions and all these things at your fingertips that we didn't have before. Where I would wait for that one show in the evening, now I could go watch the A-Team, the entire freaking thing probably on Netflix tonight. So it's just kind of a bummer. But that's why we just have to be a little bit more strict in setting ourselves aside and our time aside. So just a couple slides to go. Here's the one that rocked me last night. So here's the one that got me, guys.
Okay.
I was sitting there typing this all out, and this one hit me, and I looked around my house, and it like just was like, I can't believe I haven't thought about this before. And that is, don't waste time. Okay? And it stuck with me because once you've decided, here's the hard part. Once you've decided the number one thing you need to do or you need to be doing, everything else in your life is a waste of time. So you know that your best and most effective use of time is to reach out. You said writing letters, making calls, doing all those sorts of things, and that's the same for everybody on this call. But yet we get distracted with all these other things. But, like if you're Elon Musk or any of these other guys, they're doing that. Warren Buffett says the same thing.
Yeah.
He says, when I have my eye on the prize on something that I'm working on, all other answers are no. Right? So it's just don't waste time. You know the most effective uses of your time and focus on that until that job is done. And the more you focus on that, the more success you will have in your life. And that one really shocked me because, the more you discipline yourself to work nonstop on the biggest frog, the more progress along your efficiency curve, of where you want to go. And every time we stop doing what we need to be doing, it breaks this inertia cycle. It just breaks it. And we're back to this point of not getting anything done. And getting back to walking over to the market, getting another cup of coffee. But even getting up to get another cup of coffee is, and not that it's not a big deal to get up every 20 minutes and go do what you need to do. But just go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I'm agreeing with you. No, it is. It does get in your way, even just getting up to get that drink or whatever.
Yeah.
So relatable for my life right now, too. You just hit a nerve.
Did I really? I hit a nerve. It's just, and I'm guilty too. I'm guilty.
Does everyone know what their biggest thing they want to focus on is?
Do you know the most important thing for your career that you need to be doing?
What?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, I thought he was going to tell me.
What's the most effective use of your time here at this company?
Prospecting.
Talking to me.
That's what I was going to say.
No, see that?
I'm in a good time.
That's the distraction I'm talking about. That guy.
But
That guy distracts everybody in here.
I know, but here's the
Not lately. I
thing.
got my own room now.
I know. Why do you think we put you in here?
But that leads me to another point.
Okay.
We have to find joy. We have to, and I think getting back in the office is going to be so great.
I know.
It's going to bring everyone so much joy and talking to each other and then feeding off that energy, like having, Janie's in there and everyone's in there just doing what they did.
Right.
And then you hear them making calls. You're like, I can make a call.
Yeah.
I can write a letter.
Yep.
I can do that.
You hear somebody getting a price reduction, or you hear somebody create an urgency in a buyer.
And learning that verbiage and learning how to do it, it is so key for these. In fact, Lori Robinson said that the other day. It is so key for these newer agents and newer, 6 deals and under. It's so key to be in with other agents.
Agreed. I agree. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about events, because I learn as much. I cannot wait to get back to the Tom Ferry events and the Mike Ferry events and the Brian Buffini events so that I can start collecting more data, because it's not just about listening to those guys on the stage. It's about connecting with the badasses that are there and saying, and then next thing you know, they drop you a nugget and they drop you a nugget and they drop you a nugget, and luckily we're able to do that here.
Yeah.
With these powerful thinkers, By the way, this book is over and we're moving on to the next one. So, and I do want to actually open up a conversation about what we talked about yesterday with everybody.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
All right, and
Get ready to talk.
please stay on this call because I really need everybody's opinion on something. So anyway, self-discipline is key, right? The ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Whether you feel like
You
it
know
or
what? We
not.
should post that shit.
No,
The ability to
it's a
make
t-shirt.
yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's key?
Ouch.
Right? So we'll talk more about that. So, self-discipline is self-mastery, self-control, and they're the basic building blocks of, kind of character and high performance. So, again, we talked about this, focusing on your task until it is 100% complete is the true test of your character and willpower and your resolve, right? So, focusing on that task and getting it done. So, but, and we're at the end here, but as you complete these big frogs, eating these big frogs, these large tasks that are most important, you eventually realize that if I can get this big thing done, so now, you've set a standard of bringing in 12 people last month, right? You brought in 12 people. Guess what the expectations are
I
now?
know. Screwed myself.
14, whatever. But you eventually start to realize that you're capable of setting and achieving any goal. So the more you progress in what you're doing and become better at what you're doing, the next thing you know you can do better. And you can do this, and you can continue to do this. Look at you're all nervous about it. You can do it. All right, stop it.
But I also don't want people to think we just hire everyone.
No, you know what I mean. But I'm talking the same thing with landing buyers for these people, for
Yeah,
landing sellers.
exactly.
If you're a contractor, landing potential clients. If if you're a physical trainer, it's landing new clients and
Yeah,
becoming the best you
everyone
can
needs
be.
new clients.
And so, but once you start building up a business, the momentum gets going, and what do we call it? The momentum principle of success. I mean, it's real. So in summary, here's a summary. Now, I am going to be reviewing this book. I'm gonna talk to the Fired Up Friday people and talk about doing one more overview of the best pieces of this book on a Fired Up Friday. And really try to get down to the nitty gritty of the 20 principles that I think we need to remember.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about that.
Bullet points. I'm a bullet point girl. Yeah.
But here's the last
Cliff
thing. But
notes.
please stay on this call because I do want to get opinions. The key for you is to determine the most valuable and important thing you could possibly do at every single moment, and then eat that frog. What's the most valuable thing you can be doing at every moment, and then eat that frog? So that's really the book, guys. We're done. Eat that frog. Not bad, right? Tommy, good? You like it? All right. So go ahead, man. Oh, he just.
Just an awesome book, Chuck.
Yeah.
What a great book.
Yeah, Brian Tracy. I mean, he's legit. So all right. So I'm going to pick on a couple people. I'm going to pick on Denise. I'm going to ask you to jump in. Catherine's been paying attention. I'm going to ask you to pull in. Duffy, I think you might have your headphones on. I'm going to ask you to jump in. Janie. So here's what I think, and just I want to get your honest opinions on this. There are tons of books about how to increase your productivity, your proficiency, and your efficiency. Okay, there's tons. Right now, for example, I'm reading The 5 Love Languages on my personal time. And I'm reading like 2 or 3 other books, but on my personal time. But the thing that I know is that if you're mentally not in a good relationship place in your life, if you are not in a good health place in your life, it is very hard to be efficient and effective in real estate. So my question is, and Janie, I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind unmuting. How do you feel if Jenny and I were to bring in some other types of books that were maybe a little bit more self-help on things like, and of course we're going to turn it towards real estate, things like relationships, like The 5 Love Languages, or there's so many different things like that. But how would you feel if we brought in those types of material? Or would you like to say, hey guys, you know what, I'm in the market of I want to be as business professional as I can, and I would like to keep it about prospecting and efficiency and goals and all that sort of stuff. What's your opinion, Janie?
I love it because it would be balanced, more balanced too. I think it could bring balance to a lot of people, me included, for sure.
Okay, so I mean, it would still be something that would be of interest to you. I mean, like The 5 Love Languages. I'm reading it right now. It's pretty interesting. I mean, and Jenny was saying, and Adam and Michael were like, it can also be tweaked to business. It's how to deal with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you think, Duffy? Nope, lost him.
Denise Hernandez, what do you think?
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I agree with Janie. I think, it's all about balance. And if we have, if we're out of balance with our personal life or our physical health, everything else suffers. So I love the idea of throwing in some of the more traditional self-help type stuff along with all of the business related materials.
Okay. Catherine, what's your opinion on kind of switching over to a little bit, more relationship oriented, and some of them might be more spiritual. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to talk about it. People don't like it, don't tune in. But what do you think, Catherine?
I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm reading right now a book called Eat This about all of the diets since like the beginning of time. It's really interesting. And so it all plays in, I think, to our overall health and mental well-being.
Okay. All right.
Which affects business.
No. Yeah. I mean, they're all absolutely interconnected. Do we have Lori Robinson on this call or Chris Gonzalez? I wanted to ask her. I see Gabby Tapote. So last question. What do you think, Gabby? You want to see some stuff like that? I mean, I'm not. How would that work for you?
Oh, I think that would be awesome. I actually attended a mastermind right before COVID hit, and they brought up the 5 love languages. And they actually, it was a photographer that brought it up, and she said that she always sends a little quiz to her clients because she wants to know how to best approach thanking them and making them feel comfortable and appreciated and everything throughout the entire process.
Okay.
So I think that would be awesome.
All right, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, how to
Also,
communicate with
obviously, in the personal stuff too.
And the other thing, Gabby, and for everybody on the call is like, the cool part about it is like if we can hit some of these really, really famous books, you know, or some of these really, really famous topics, it's like it just broadens our horizons on life. You know, like I'm also reading, you know, Tuesdays with Morrie right now. Like it would be a cool.
So you're not focusing. You're not focusing on one book. So you're really.
No, it's like my life right now. I'm not focused on anything. It's a freaking disaster. No, I'm kidding. But
Because you just kept saying you got focus. You got to
Yes.
mainstay. You got to stay focused.
yes.
I'm a big biography person. It would be great on very successful people, whether successful in business, successful in life, like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Roosevelt. I mean, like Rockefeller, stuff like that. Maybe nuggets out of that too would be.
I'm all over it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm all over it. You know, I mean, let's just all just get smarter. You know, let's delve into the classics. You know, let's get those relationship things. Let's get those biographies. Let's see what lessons we can learn from people's lives. You know, okay, thank you, Lonnie. I like that. And then that way, you know, I think it just makes us more rounded. I mean, one of my favorite books I've ever read in my entire life is The Alchemist. I mean, I love that. I would love to review that book, but it's a little bit different than proficiency and efficiency and productivity and prospecting. You know, but it is something. It affected my life. I mean, it was the most powerful book I ever read at the time I read it in my life. So, all right, we'll do it. All right, guys. So this Friday, I'm going to try to do a full final review of this book. The Alchemist was awesome, Gabby. And I will let you guys know. We'll send out the texts. And thank you very, very much for tuning in today. And go get it this week. Eat that frog. Figure out what that frog is.
Yeah.
And go get it. Adam wanted to give one final pitch.
Yes, I just want to say I am eternally grateful for everyone who has been sharing the post.
We are.
We've
Thank
got
you.
a few regulars who are doing it, and I love you so much. Thank you. If you feel that this information has benefited you at all, please share it with the world. Share it on Facebook, and also we are on YouTube, folks. So
Right on. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Adam, Michael, we appreciate you guys. Jenny, you're the
Always.
best.
You're the best.
All right,
That's great.
guys.
You guys are the best.
We love you guys.
You guys are the best.
Have yourself a wonderful week. Happy birthday again. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.